additional resource. It's an option. Basically, that's what it is.
If
you want to put the child in a public school, you can do that.
Taking it away from the other kids from the community and giving it to other kids that don't even belong to it.
No, hold on. But if they set up a private school in this community, that's totally your option.
Guys, you're wasting your time with this kid because he's calling science majors.
So we can call it.
Get the hell up!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom, we're live. What's going on, Bird?
What's going on, Bird?
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, guys?
So the first thing I wanted to talk about today was that video that we just saw. Well, I'm going to put the video of what happened before this actual video starts.
Okay.
All right, so I want to talk about that video. A lot of people got, like, what actually happened wrong. And a lot of people were quick to judge me on what happened. There was quite a few people that actually told me that I shouldn't have provoked what happened.
Hey, man, the comments were blowing up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I logged onto Twitter. It had 30 retweets, man. That's a lot.
This thing was... I mean, I had close friends talking to me, asking me if I provoked it. And then I had other friends that told me that I provoked it. And their rationale was that this thing wouldn't have happened if it went unprovoked. But in actuality, that's exactly what happened. Because what I was doing at that library, and they had developed conspiracies that said that I was there intentionally to disrupt that meeting that was going on, which is not true at all. What happened was I walked into that library that day to print out a study guide for my final that I had the next day for comparative politics, right? So I walked into the library. I had change, to print out some stuff. And there's these computers that you could use there just for printing. So you get a quick 15-minute access to the computer and then you could print, right?
Yeah.
And so I went to this printing station, and basically what happened was I noticed that the computers were very old, and not up to date. I mean, they had Internet Explorer and Firefox. They didn't have Google Chrome.
It's the fat computers?
Yeah.
Thick ass keyboard?
Yeah. So I said, why don't we just pay a membership for a specific library that we set up that's privatized? And so we pay this membership, and they'll be able to get their funds from memberships and stuff rather than actual state funds. You know what I mean? So they're going to have better materials and everything.
Due to the privatization?
Yeah, the privatization of libraries.
This was just going through your head?
Yeah, it was I was like, well, why don't we just privatize them, and whoever wants to be part of that library or have a membership for that library will have access to all these really good resources,
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a viable business plan for someone that's trying to invest their money in a library or whatever, or a library business like that. And so I was thinking all this while I was printing, and then there happened to be a meeting that was going on about private schools and how private schools are bad and how they're displacing public schools and how they're taking away funds from public schools. But here's the first problem with what was going on. They were protesting against charter schools, but their banners said private schools. So I don't know, I'm not sure if they confused charter schools with private schools, but charter schools are not private schools. Did you know that?
Yeah, but for KIPP, a charter school, it does receive a lot of private donations though, more than a public school,
Yeah.
So I guess that's what they're against. They're kind of envious of the fact that these schools have, let's say, better computers and shit, due to these private funds that they're receiving. Yeah. And public schools like Stevenson, it's all from the state,
Yeah.
I don't know how much credit they receive privately.
So let me open this thing I have here. So the first issue that they had was that charter schools are taking away money from private schools are taking away money from public schools.
Already, that's wrong.
Okay, and This is why I'm so confused, because they're confusing charter schools with private schools. They think that KIPP, Xterra, and what's that other one? KIPP, Xterra.
Wait, so this meeting revolved around the idea that private schools were bad, but they were talking about charter schools as well?
Yeah.
But they were advertising it as against private school meeting? What the fuck?
See, that's why this whole thing is already fucked up. Like, it's hard for me to explain because I really don't understand how this whole thing was going on. There was people from Xterra there talking about how good their programs are, and the people that had started the meeting had already set up posters of like, we're against private schools and this and that. But like I said, KIP, Xterra, those are not private schools; they're charter schools.
Yeah.
So the problem that they had was they confused charter schools with private schools. So the first thing that they were saying to me was,
That's red flag number one.
The first thing they were telling me was that charter schools are unfair because they take money away from public schools.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, although it's true, the reason that this happens is because when the government funds districts, like school districts, they're funding based on the student roll call. So depending on how many students are in your district, they'll allocate a certain amount of money to your district, right?
Also, how many students are in the school?
Yeah.
So larger schools, of course, are going to receive more funds.
Yeah, because there's students.
But these charter schools are smaller than public schools.
Exactly.
So how is it that...
Okay, so these students that are not attending public schools and are now attending charter schools, the money is going with them. It's not getting taken away from public schools necessarily because the money that goes to these districts don't serve as entitlements for the schools. They're merely for the student. So when a student leaves the public school district and goes into a charter school, which is technically still a public school, the money goes with them.
The thing is that these people shouldn't be mad at the private or charter schools. They should be mad at the public school system because I was watching this video earlier and it said that the average cost to attend a high school private school is around $15,000, and the average cost that for a student who attends a public high school or public elementary school is around $12,000. The state pays $12,000 per public school student, while the rate for a private school student is around $15,000. So it's like it's a $3,000 difference, and I feel that public schools are not allocating this money towards, let's say, good computers or good books. Like, they run their system on teachers have to follow the book, you know? Yeah. They have to teach what's on the book, what's on the standardized test and shit. And I feel that that's what's bringing public schools down, not necessarily private or charter schools. Like, that's not the problem is what I'm saying, you know?
And so did you see the video?
Which one?
The one of what happened?
Oh, fuck yeah, man.
Okay. So there was
everywhere.
There was this lady that was telling me that the charter schools are taking away money from public schools and they're giving it to these charter schools that are bringing in kids from out of the community, which is not true. They're saying that these charter schools have largely white populations, and that makes no sense to me because the people that attend the charter schools here tend to be Hispanic.
It's like overall public schools tend to be more diverse than private schools. So that's another red flag.
So they were using the definition. No, they were using their presuppositions of what private schools are and relating it to charter schools because I guess they had a confusion with what like programs like KIP and Xterra really are, because they're not, like I said, they're not private. They're public. They're not. So I guess they were confusing these two, and they were saying that people that attend private schools tend to have large white majorities.
That's true, though.
That's true, but that's because white people tend to have more money than other groups here in the United States. There's a lot of Asians in private schools too, you know?
Small though, man. It's mostly white people.
Why would that be the case?
It's just how it is. It's like 90% of students who attend private schools are white, and I think it was like 2.8 were Asian, which I thought is crazy because I go to Irvine, and then you see a lot of Asians in the community, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, I mean, it goes back to I didn't believe you that all the planets fit in between the distance between the Earth and the Moon. It's like that shit that you don't really believe, but then it's true.
Yeah.
Same thing, man.
I told you it was true, man. I told you.
I still have my doubts, but whatever, man. I gotta see it for myself.
It's fucking far. The moon's far. All right, but anyways.
Yeah.
So the reason I was confused in the moment because I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that they were protesting private schools, and I was saying, you know, what's wrong with private schools, man? Like if people want to send their kids to a school where they could invest their money in, like that's perfectly okay. You know, if you want
their choice.
If you want to better your child's life, or at least maybe you think you are, you know, they're just looking out for the kid, you know?
Yeah, it's an investment. Like, if you want to buy a Honda or if you want to buy a Mercedes, you can't be hating on the person who got a Mercedes, you know? It's like they were able to do so they did it. You can't be hating on people who want to send their kids to private schools, like you said, you know?
Yeah. And private schools tend to do better anyway because they don't rely on state funds, you know?
Yeah,
and
man.
so they're able to fund better materials, better programs that, you know, help these students succeed.
Classroom sizes are smaller.
They're smaller. There's a smaller teacher to student ratio.
Yeah.
And since, you know, private schools are businesses, they tend to rely on their good reputations to be successful. So that's a pretty big, like, motivator to want to succeed, you know?
Yeah.
Want to make your business successful. You know, ensuring that people are getting a good service.
Yeah, but private schools don't ensure you're going to get into, let's say, an Ivy League college. You know, anybody could get into an Ivy League college.
Yeah.
But the thing is that what private schools do grant you is the mindset that you must really focus on the material, and I'm pretty sure that the morals you learn at a private school are different from the ones you learn at a public school. So you just carry that with you in a college. But yeah, the video that I was watching as well, they mentioned that the ratio of private school students and public school students who move on to Ivy Leagues is roughly the same. I think even more public school students make it to Ivy League schools.
Well, there's far fewer private schools than there are public schools, and that's probably why.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, you know...
But private schools, they kind of... People have this notion that private schools are like, oh, they have superior education, therefore these students are going to be able to make something of themselves, you know? But that's not the case.
Going back to what happened on that day.
Yeah.
So this is how it started. I was walking out of the library, had printed my stuff, and I looked to my left, and there's a meeting room. And there's people yelling, there's people shouting, there's people crying. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? You know, so I looked inside, and there was all these banners that said, you know, we're against private schools, we're against KIPP, we're against Xterra.
Who organized this event, though? The library or
no.
somebody?
It's a socialist group here in Boyle Heights, but I forgot what it's...
Think that shit was on Facebook?
It was on Facebook, man. People were live streaming.
All
and
right.
so I was genuinely concerned about the meeting. I asked one of the people that were standing... I was standing outside. I wasn't inside. I asked one of the people that was standing outside. I'm like, what's going on in there? And they're like, oh, we're protesting against private schools here in Boyle Heights. And then I'm like, why? Privatization's good, man. Like, it's going to help parents who want to invest their money into their child's lives. Like, you know, it's going to put that investment to use. Like, it's going to better other people's lives, you know? Like, it's an option. Like, if it's not...
Yeah, that's what it is. It's not that it's good. It's an option. People should have the right to do what they want to do, you know?
Like,
why are you trying to go against that?
Yeah.
That's kind of what socialism does, too. They put down the one group while it's like you're kind of contradicting yourself, you know? You want equality, but then you're putting down another group. It's like, what the fuck?
So I said, why? You know, like, privatization is good. And that caused a cascading effect where everyone wanted to talk to me.
They came out of the room?
They came out of the room. It started with 2.
Was the presentation done?
I think it was finishing up. I really think it was.
Just fucking, yeah.
So they were walking out of the room and everyone was starting to, like, circle around me. The thing about the video was that it got the very last of it. This thing went on for like a good 15 minutes. And I was talking to people there, and there was a lot of people. Most of them were actually guys, man.
There was a lot of people?
Yeah. There was a lot of guys. And there was this UPS worker. And he came up to me. And while I was talking to people, and I was trying to explain, like, how privatization would be an option rather than a displacement of public schools. So while I was explaining, the UPS guy came up to my face, like, right in front of my face. He's like, dude, why don't you just get the fuck out of here? And I was like, because this is a public library, you know? He's like, yeah, I know, but I think you should really get the fuck out of here. No one wants you in here. And I'm like, well, that's too bad, man. Like, this is a public library. I could be in here. It's non-excludable. It's non-rivalrous, you know? They teach you about these things in college. That things that are public goods are non-excludable. You could use the public good because it's for everybody, regardless of your political opinions.
That just goes to show the contradiction. It's like, we're against privacy, but get the fuck out of this public library. What the fuck,
dude?
Man?
He came up to my face at the end. He was like, if you don't get the fuck out of here, I guarantee you something bad's gonna happen to you. Like, he was gonna fucking, like, do some shit to me, you know?
What's gonna happen, though?
And I'm like, dude, the guy was shorter than me, man. He was skinny. And I was just like, listen, man, like, you can't kick me out of here, man, you know? And everyone was, like, telling me, oh, get the fuck out, you know? We don't want you here. And I stopped and I looked at everybody. I'm like, this is the problem with Boyle Heights. We're too confrontational. you know? And something as delicate as politics needs to be dissected in a long form conversation rather than people shouting over each other, you know? Because politics is multidimensional. You know, there's no straightforward answer. There's philosophers that have conceptualized politics for many, many years, and they still couldn't get their political opinions, correct. So what makes you think that your opinion here is going to be correct just because you say it, you know? And even then, you can't kick me out because of my political opinion, you know?
Yeah.
That's not a good enough reason. I'm not inciting violence. I'm not doing anything like that. So because you have a problem with what I think, you want me out of the library, you know?
Or you're trying to get violent, you know? Like,
yeah.
He's that little threat, like, oh, something bad's gonna happen to you
yeah.
if you don't leave. Like, what the fuck, dude?
I mean, I don't understand the mentality of people that are like this.
So
you know?
that was his approach towards you. He didn't try to bring up any.
No, he
like,
didn't.
Differing points.
No opinions. He went straight for it. He just said, "Get the fuck out of here." He's like, "Listen, man, why don't you just get the fuck out of here?" Like, and I was like, because this is a public library, you know.
I mean, the fact that these people are attending this sort of meeting should kind of give you an insight into the way they think, you know, the rationale.
Yeah.
It's like if they're fucking here trying to support a movement that doesn't make sense,
yeah,
just think about the way they fucking like make decisions and shit. It's just it won't add up.
And to me, it makes no sense why people tell me that I provoked this. Like, why would I take time out of finals a week to go provoke something? Like something for my Instagram or something like that? No. Dude, everyone was Facebook living, you know? So I told my little brother, record. I didn't tell him like go live or anything. I just told him record. You know, see what you get.
Yeah.
That actually got me a position to speak on behalf of Xterra in a meeting. Because the principal of my school was watching one of the people's Facebook lives, one of the Xterra representatives, and the principal came up to my little brother in school. Apparently they had filmed way longer than I did. They filmed the whole thing, and the principal was saying that he wanted me to go and speak on behalf of the school.
Where?
At a meeting or something like that. But I didn't really get the full details. My little brother just told me, and I'm like, when is it? He didn't tell me, so he's gonna ask. But yeah, like the principal wants me to go speak on behalf of Xterra and charter schools because like he said that I had good points or whatever.
It's the rational points.
I mean, you know, like people were trying to fight me, bro, over a political ideology, you know? And it makes no sense to me. Like people are, I thought that people on the left were like peace-loving people, you know? People that wanted equal this and equal that and equal representation and to have your voices heard, you know? I thought this is what the left stood for. And now they're kicking me out of a library that I use and I study at, you know?
Man, I don't even think they should be considered a political ideology. It's just fact, like moral fact. People have the right to do whatever the fuck they want to do. If they want to send their kids to a private school, they can. Why the fuck are you going to try to obstruct them from doing that? No one's trying to obstruct you from doing shit, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
And so, dude, so this friend of mine was like, they wouldn't just kick you out for no reason. And I was like, you know, like they fucking basically did. Like, just because I had a different political opinion. But like, I was so mad because a lot of people, not just that friend, but other people were telling me, oh, you provoked them. So this is why it happened. Like, you deserve to get kicked out of the library. And that, to me, made no sense.
It doesn't make sense, but I don't even know what to say, man. It just doesn't make sense why they believe that you were in the wrong here, you know?
Yeah. Even if I don't have my facts straight and they're right, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt there. Even then, you don't have the right to kick me out of the library just because I think differently than you know?
Yeah.
As long as I'm not inciting violence and I'm not being aggressive, which I wasn't, then I don't have... They have no reason to kick me out.
That's how it is, man.
The thing is that the person that kicked me out wasn't even like a person that worked at the library. It was just some regular guy. I found out later that it was just some regular guy. Like, he just shouted and he's like, hey, you get the fuck out of here. Like, you know, that's it. It's over. It's over for you. You're out. I decided. It's like, you know, what do I do then? Like, well, what can I say? Like, people are just overcrowding me and they're telling me that, oh, I'm in the wrong, so I need to get out. And like I said, that's what's wrong with Boyle Heights, man. We're too confrontational. We're not open to other ideas. We like to push our ideas here.
Man, to me, I feel that that's the minority, though. The minority of people who are truly uneducated think that way, you know? We're progressing, man. I feel we're progressing. Like, me and you, And then anybody else we talk to, man, I feel that if we really have a deliberation, we'll be able to talk peacefully, you know.
Yeah.
But this small percentage of people who, I mean, how old were the people attending this meeting?
They were pretty old, man. They were like 30s.
It's
mid
like
30s, like 40s even.
These people are gonna get just pushed to the side, man, because.
But the UPS guy was like 20 or something. But then again,
But-
the UPS guy.
Yeah.
I mean, how far is he gonna know about politics? How much is he gonna know about politics?
I mean, even if he is going to school, you didn't know, you know. But if he was, like, he'd know not to act that way.
Let me tell you something. The most ridiculous thing I heard that day was that one of the fucking companies, either Xterra or Kip, was paying me to show up there to disrupt the meeting. But like like I said, like the meeting was already ending. Like, but that was the funniest thing. Like it puts into perspective the fact that when we don't know something, we point to conspiracies.
Man, that's the shit though. Instead of formulating a rational answer, they resort to, oh, it's this, you know,
Yeah.
it's this. I know it is. I got you. It's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, man? It's not even true.
They're like, oh, they're paying him to be here. Like he works for Xterra, he works for Kip. Like he dresses up in a suit every day.
That wouldn't make sense though. They're there to go against private schools.
Yeah.
How is it that these companies sending you, I mean, these school systems sending you is gonna change their mind? It's like, what the fuck? That doesn't make sense.
But it just goes to show how when we don't know something, man, we just point to like our own guesses, like our own conspiracy theories.
What else do you have right here, man?
Yeah, I think that's all I had there. But like, okay, let me go back to this whole thing. So these people like, crowded me. They were asking me all these questions. After I told the guy, you know, you have no right to kick me out. And after they said that somebody privately paid me, then they were saying that I'm just doing it for the Facebook feed, like for the Facebook clout. And I don't get Facebook clout, man. So it's ridiculous. And then that's when the guy raised his voice, and then I got kicked out. And then that's when you saw the last clip of the video. That's all he got, just the last bits of what happened.
You don't have the full thing? You said that
No.
somebody had recorded it.
Oh yeah, but that was on a Facebook Live feed, but I don't know whose it was. But somehow it got to the principal, and so now, like I said, he wants me to speak for them.
I'm pretty sure the principal could get you the footage.
Yeah. What'd you think, man, when you saw that?
I didn't know what was going on, but given that I know the way the minority of people think here, I knew that there was some left versus right ideologies coming and clashing against each other, you know?
Yeah.
But I knew some shit was up, though. I knew some shit was up. And then when you mentioned that the reason for that meeting was to protest private schools, it's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Why?
So,
Why?
like I said, man, we're too confrontational with our opinions. And so when we have an idea here, we all tend to crowd that idea. And that's why there's a lot of reinforcement here for one idea, right? For one ideology, and that's socialism. And
a lot of people here have the same problems. That's why they group around this idea that they believe is gonna save them or benefit them, you know?
One of the main problems with what they were saying was that that white kids are gonna start moving into these fucking private schools that they're setting up here. And what's like my question is, what's so wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with white people being here?
So they're not against kids from this area going to private schools that aren't in LA?
They actually didn't make that clear, but they did make it clear that they didn't want white people here and their children coming to our school.
So private schools, they associate it with white people, and that's what they don't want.
Yeah.
So they're not against private schools? They're
against both.
It's the whole system.
Yeah.
Because they believe that private schools are going to bring in white people, which means that their kids aren't going to have that space or that opportunity.
I guess they think of it in this giant net where when they set up the private school, white people are going to have more reasons to come and then gentrify this area because there's a lot of white people and there's white kids in these private schools. And now since there's a lot of white people here because of the private schools, there's going to be higher rent costs, higher cost of living, higher everything, you know? And so that's going to lead to gentrification, and that's going to push people out. It's a stretch, but like that's That's exactly what they're trying to say in one fucking bubble.
But how many private schools are in the area here? There's Salesian, there's Resurrection. What else?
I have no idea.
Is there any private school that's not religion oriented?
I don't think so.
It's like, why would they open these private schools here?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
They're against private schools here?
Yeah, here. But like I said, they're considering schools like KIPP and Xterra private schools. So I guess to them that would
I mean, there's no
example.
other fucking private school to protest, man. So they're like, well, fuck it, we're here. Let's
But they're not
protest
private
KIPP.
schools, man.
Exactly, but they're like, they realized, you know what? We fucked up, so we're just gonna protest KIPP and shit. And I know that's the way people think, because my neighbor that lives behind me,
Yeah.
she was supposed to go to KIPP, but her mother didn't let her go because her mother's perception of KIPP was, oh, it's for people with money, even though it's free.
Yeah.
What the fuck
and
you
people
mean?
People have that idea. People go to... I don't know why people have that idea. That because there's the select amount of students that can go to KIPP that people are paying. No one's paying, right?
And then it leads to more
Because
conspiracies.
you went to KIPP.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing.
It leads to more conspiracies. Oh, they paid to get in.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
they know somebody, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a fucking a circle, man.
But there's a lot of people that think this way. It's not just that group of people that were there. Those were the people that were willing to show up to this meeting.
These people are going to get pushed aside, though. New generations are growing, are becoming more educated. Like, they're going to be left to the side, man.
Don't know if that's true.
They don't influence politics. They don't.
We know a couple people that are into government and politics right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that I know,
You think they'd be against private schools
I
in
mean-
their areas?
I mean, only because they wouldn't understand.
Understand what, though?
Like the actual
The right to an option?
Yeah, I guess. So they wouldn't understand this whole process. The way we see it.
Man, it's like you just have to accept the fact that there's levels to life, you know? Not everybody's gonna, like I mentioned earlier, not everybody's gonna be able to own a Mercedes. Not everybody's gonna be able to fucking attend the most expensive schools. Like, there's levels, you know? And that's where that socialist idea is kind of creeping in people's mind, that's the solution. Everybody has to have the equal chance. Everyone has to have the equal education, equal income. It's like
Equality of outcome.
Exactly. It's like that's not the case, man. That's not how life works. Not even during the primitive years of human history, you know?
Yeah. Humans are hierarchical.
Exactly.
By nature.
Yeah.
By nature. That's why most of our governmental systems up until now have been formed in a hierarchy.
It wouldn't make
there's
sense.
No way.
What would happen to the human species, man, if everybody was equal? You didn't have the right to, like, work harder and then benefit from that work, you know? It's in our nature to want more.
It's in our nature to be unequal, because technically when you invest in yourself and you strive to do better, you tend to strive to do better to kind of rise above everyone else,
yeah.
you know, and to ensure your success in the future.
Exactly.
That's producing in a way inequality, because now you're unequal to everyone below you, you know. And
everyone's aware of this, though.
And a lot of people dismiss behavioralism. They say that we have created this and this is all societal. And it's cultural entirely, but they don't understand that some of this is by nature, like it's ruled by nature. That's why you see all these other animals in the same kind of system of hierarchies, you know?
Shout out JP.
Jordan Peterson.
We'll be talking about lobsters.
Yeah,
lobsters.
Did you read the book?
Nah, but I've heard him mention it a lot, that lobsters have this hierarchical system where, what is it?
That humans are like lobsters or something like that. But
that just goes to show how it's instilled in our fucking genetics.
Anyways, where was I with this whole thing?
We were just talking about, I kind of brought up the point of socialism and how these socialist ideas are what's fueling these meetings and shit.
So it's interesting that we talk about this right now, because this Thursday we're supposed to have one of the guys from Weird Wave Coffee. I'm hoping it's actually the owner. I want to talk to the actual owner from Weird Wave Coffee.
I mean, who else would they send?
I don't know, but I think I'm getting the owner. And so the reason, this guy, the coffee shop, we had mentioned him earlier in an earlier podcast. We said that this guy had his place vandalized and he had windows broken. He had his place, like, he had paint thrown on his business, which is, by the way, still there. I pass by it, like, you know, almost every day, and I see it there.
Why is it still there?
Because, I mean, I guess he doesn't have the money to pay for it, or I don't know. I have no idea, but it's still there. The blue paint's still there. And this is all because he's white. Like, it's entirely because of his color, you know? or because he's a hipster, or because whatever. But it's because of his race, because he's not Hispanic, and that to me makes no sense. How people think that's not racism.
It is racism.
It's
racism.
It is, because you're targeting someone because of the color of their skin.
It goes back to that notion of thinking something's bad when it's done to you, but not thinking it's bad when you do it to others.
Yeah.
We're being racist in that sense, you know, as a community. We really have to put an end to that and change mentalities here, man.
What's that one quote? I don't know where it's from, but it's like, treat others the way you want to be treated or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's in the Bible.
It's somewhere, man.
But if it's in the Bible, I mean, it makes sense why someone would want to write that down, you know? I mean, it's a fundamental human principle, you know? You should.
Yeah. I feel that's ingrained in us as well.
And it's like people always are so ready to dismiss religion, you know? People are so ready to say, oh, that's all fake, you know? Evolution. We didn't come from Adam and Eve, or this and that. They focus too much on the actual narrative of the stories. Yeah. They don't focus on what you can learn from those stories. You know what I mean? I've
been listening a lot to Sam Harris, and he argues against that. He says that religion, humans did not need religion to have morality, you know? Yeah. People associate their morals, or they say that they derive their morals from their religion. And Sam Harris, he argues that, no, that's not the case, that we would still be the people we are today with the same morals without religion. And he just makes a lot of points, and he goes all over the place, so I can't really keep up with that.
And there's people like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson who would argue against Sam Harris.
That's why I told you to watch that video, man.
Which goes to show that politics, religion...
But then again, these motherfuckers aren't fighting. They're cursing each other out.
No. Instead, what they'd rather do is sit in a room and talk about it.
And they post that, they record it in front of a live audience,
and they take pictures together.
It's it's all for education, you know. It's all for the betterment of society, and acting with violence. It just shows that we're not thinking rationally, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they felt incapable, so they thought that their only solution was to manifest their power through violence or something.
I mean, they probably. You said that they didn't have no opposing ideas to what you were saying.
I mean, they were confusing private schools with charter schools. They didn't have their fundamental points even there, you know?
You should have asked them, name me a private school where this is already occurring here.
Yeah.
Unless there's a lot of white kids at Salesian. Unless there's a lot of white kids at Resurrection. I don't know.
But they were also...
I'm pretty sure they don't know either.
There was one more thing that they were opposing, which I don't know why... I don't know why they were talking about it. It had nothing to do with this, but it was violence against Latino minorities. So police brutality against Latinos. How police tend to target Latinos more, just like they target blacks more than whites.
Man, I want to know who organized this event.
I forgot their names. I had to look it up, but I'll probably put it on the screen once I find out after this. So, but the thing that gets me
we should get them on.
Is that even then that's wrong. The whole Black Lives Matter movement and everything like that. I get it. Like they were against cop violence against black people, you know? But the thing is that if you look at the statistics, cops actually kill more white people annually than any other group in the United States. Did you know that? Did you know that?
Yeah.
You knew that?
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah. But blacks are the minority, man. So it's kind of like when you're lighter in weight, but you could lift heavy, you know?
Yeah.
You get more props. You're like, oh, you're stronger pound for pound. I guess that relates to the population of white people who get shot by cops. Since there's many more white people than there are blacks in America, I guess that's why that number is kind of like outweighed by the black people since they're less, you know?
Yeah.
That's the only logical explanation I could think of.
I don't understand this whole white antagonism, man. I really don't understand it. Like, not everyone that's white in America...
That's cultural.
Not everyone that's white in America is from the colonial era. There's Italians, there's Irish Americans, there's, German Americans, whatever, But they came way after colonialism.
Yeah, man, it's just...
They immigrated in the 19th century.
Nowadays, they're just antagonized,
Yeah.
Like, that notion that comes to your head when you hear Nazi... Like, it's kind of shifting over to white people. When you say a white person, like, people already have this idea in their head,
Yeah.
You mentioned that earlier as well, though, how people when these people were discussing the private schools, they had this idea of what the private school was. It goes back, and it relates to what I'm saying right now. People have this idea of what of who white people are. Like, why do you have to rely so much on that fucking idea? And why don't you do your research? Like, you look up the stats and shit, you know? That's kind of like what we do, you know? We research, we look at the stats, we listen to people who know what they're talking about. Yeah. And these people, they show up to these meetings with other people who don't know what the fuck's going on, and that just fuels their fucking ideas of that are basically wrong, you know? Yeah. They're wrong, man. They have to get educated.
That's why in our last podcast, when we were talking about the rise in technology and all these new forms of communication, that this is also leading to more political confusion. Because now that people are able to voice their concerns or voice their opinions or their ideas on larger platforms, which can easily spread out to a lot of other people in their community, that's what's going to cause all this confusion. Like these technologies.
Yeah, man, and already
amplifying free speech.
Already the trust levels in the U.S. are low, man. You know which country has the highest trust level in their government now?
Which one?
Yes, man.
Trust?
Yes. The people have great trust in their government.
I have no idea.
China. Communist China.
Dude, a lot of them can't even see what happened on Tiananmen Square.
Communist China. That population has the highest trust levels in their government.
Some would say communist, some would say communist with a little bit of capitalism.
Communist.
They're communist.
Modern communist. How communism should have been applied, you know?
But it's not entirely communistic.
Exactly, but like what you said in about politics, it's not a straight line. So all these theories or ideologies that are political can't be followed on a straight line either, you know? Yeah. Like there's a bunch of other factors that have to be that form the overall ideology, you know?
Why would it be that they have more trust in their government or in their country?
Because they're doing so well, man, economically, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people who come over here from China, they're driving Mercedes, man. Like the government's giving back to these people, you know? But I don't know why, but I feel that system wouldn't work here, though.
I don't know. There's a lot of mistrust here.
Yeah.
A lot of mistrust.
But going back to what you were saying about the impact of social media on politics and shit, Americans 2019 have very low trust levels in the government. And then I believe this is fueled also by fake news that they see, you know, conspiracy theories that come up on the feeds. People seem to just focus on that. And the more you see, the more of a subject that you see, the more that it's going to come up on your feed, you know? So that just strengthens your ideology. You're like, it's true.
It's like Roger.
It's like Roger.
Anytime we say anything or we talk about like government or we talk about just life, he finds a way to...
He finds a conspiracy theory. It's like, no, Roger.
He finds a way to maneuver the conversation into conspiracy talk.
That's how he watches, though.
I mean, look, that's what got Alex Jones so, you know, powerful.
The thing is that Alex Jones... Oh, did you hear what happened?
No.
That he had a podcast with Joe Rogan, and YouTube took that shit down.
Which one?
Oh, I saw it on Google today.
I think it was an early one.
I don't remember, man, but it came up on the feed today that they took that shit down. That this lobbyist group reported it, and YouTube took it down. And I was like, what the fuck? You know? Is it just because it's Alex Jones, or were they saying some inappropriate shit, you know?
I don't understand Alex Jones, man.
Why?
he talks some shit like...
You don't know if he's bullshitting or not, huh?
He says that there's interdimensional aliens in San Francisco underground.
And then that we get high to talk to them?
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's like, you don't know if it's true, but
I mean,
maybe he knows.
He was right before, and I forgot what he was right about something though, and that's what got him popular way back when. But now, I don't know, he's really moved out of his way, and he's talking about these crazy conspiracies.
Yeah, but the shit that trips me out is that Joe Rogan, he's like, I know you have a point, but slow down.
Oh, yeah,
you know? I'm like, what the fuck, Joe?
He hears him out.
Yeah.
He hears him out. He's like, you know, I understand. I get it. I believe you.
Yeah, I believe you.
He's like, I believe you. But I don't know if he really does, or he just says this so he could get
so he could calm down, huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
Chill the fuck out, man.
But that whole thing is crazy, man. But I was talking to this guy, and I was kind of like taking that approach the other day because I was talking to this guy the other day, and he was telling me how he could sense energy, that he could feel energy, that he could feel when something bad's gonna happen. He could feel when something good's gonna happen. He can tell when someone's gonna die soon. He can tell when there's a ghost around. That he has this sixth sense to kind of be able to detect.
Psychic.
Yeah, to kind of detect all these moving energies that live among us in this other dimension.
The thing is that if you truly believe that with all your heart, if you truly believe that you have that ability, you'll have that ability, man.
And I was with a friend at that time that was like, I believe you. I feel the same way. I just I haven't been comfortable enough to talk about it with everybody else. And I was just like, what the hell, you know?
And what happened?
And they were just talking about all these energies that they could feel. And that how when his cat was going to die, that he could sense when his cat was going to die. He knew something bad was going to happen when he left the house that day. When he came back, he got run over. And how he was able to talk to his dead grandma or something like that.
How?
I don't know. But he was so convinced. Like, he had so much conviction in his voice and the way he said these things that I had no option but to say, okay, I believe you. You know?
The thing is that when people feel that they have these abilities and shit like that, it's mostly a memory, you know? Like, they recall the feeling that they felt. Like, let's say they got hit by a car or something, you know? Yeah. They recall that feeling and instill it into the present day, and then they're like, oh, I could sense I could sense something bad's gonna happen. Joe Rogan was talking about that today, how when people say that they've been abducted by aliens, it's just a recollection of when they were first being born.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a theory.
Fuck, that's crazy, you know?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
The bright lights and then the strange man.
Yeah. It's just a recollection of your first memory, your first vision of the outside world, you know?
Yeah.
So, but you didn't encounter them or nothing?
What was that?
The people you were talking to, like, you weren't like, prove it, or
no, because he said that for the most part when he tells people this, that they're so dismissive about it that he just doesn't feel comfortable enough to talk about it. So me, I wanted to pull more out of him, you know? I was like, if I tell him now that this is bullshit, he's not gonna want to talk to me about it. And I always say that if you can convince me of anything, I'll believe it. But if you can convince me solidly that of something, I will believe you. Like that's my position on Bigfoot. That's my position on aliens, Sasquatch, or Sasquatch is Bigfoot, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever, the Loch Ness monster. If someone could convince me that they're real, then I'll believe that they're real.
I mean, of course, you know.
Yeah.
Do you come across this person a lot though? You're saying that you gave him that.
I've seen him once. That's the only time I've seen him.
Oh, but you feel you gonna see him again?
No, I don't know. And he was like, I could read people's minds. That's one thing that I was like, all right, this is bullshit. Because I'm going to say, I don't fucking believe you. If you could hear me, then say some shit.
This motherfucker's been looking up a lot of interpreting body language videos on YouTube, you know?
I don't know. No. He was really, really convinced of it. Like, he was getting emotional about it when he was talking about his dead grandma and how he was talking to her. He was getting emotional. He was, like, really putting his fucking mind and soul into this conversation.
I don't know if that truly happened, but I'm pretty sure that thought did happen, and that's what he's relying on, you know?
What thought?
That thought that actually happened, that he spoke to his grandmother. That thought truly happened, but did that instance truly happen? I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that people could convince themselves of something that's not true.
Exactly.
And we've had friends like that, remember?
Exactly. I'm like, there's a lot of bears out here, you know?
A lot of cubs out here saying they did things that they actually didn't. But the thing about the cub that gets me is that he's actually a good example of someone that could convince themselves of something that's not true, and they'll believe it, even though it's not true.
They'll forget that it's not true, and they'll be like, it happened. You know, that's scary, man. That's pretty scary.
The human experience, the human psyche, the human conscious brain, all of that is subjective. Everything about the brain is subjective. Everything about the way we think, about even the way our food tastes, is subjective.
Yeah.
It's our own opinions that determine how we see the world around us.
Yeah.
You know?
I was taking this psychology course, and this was the topic that the whole course revolved around. The notion that memories are subjective, ideas are subjective. Like who you are and the way you think is subjective. Like if you try to think back to a distant memory, what's that thing you say that you don't remember the actual memory, but you remember.
Yeah. When you're remembering something, you're actually remembering the last time you remembered that something.
Yeah. And I feel that's scary, man, because you could be living a life where you think you did something or that a situation went a certain way, but it didn't truly go that way, you know? Like, that's scary, you know?
Yeah, that's why the human memory is so flawed.
Yeah.
That's why when police are doing reports, you know, they take eyewitness accounts, but they don't put it out as facts, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and a lot of times my memory is always wrong. Every time I look at a video of what something looked like, it's always like a different, you know, perspective of what I was actually thinking when that thing was going on.
Yeah. Like
when I watch this podcast later, I'm like, that's not what I thought was happening, you know?
Yeah, that's the shit, man. It's hard. Yeah. The mind fucks with you. Like it's all for survival.
I could kill this. This podcast could be over, and I'll be thinking like, I don't know how I feel about that podcast, and then I watch it back and I'd be like, it was pretty good actually, you know?
Yeah. Or I should have said this, or I should have said that, but that's different, you know?
It's crazy, man. This whole thing is crazy. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today, man. I wanted to address this whole thing that was going on with like these people that were like, you know, circling around me and basically telling me to get out of the library. This whole thing that went on, what was it, like last week?
Yeah.
Last week was finals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was last week. By the way, how were your finals, man?
Good, bro. Good. Yeah. I did good. Shout out to Shirey, you know what I'm saying? Cheat sheets, you know what I'm saying? Those cheat sheets come in clutch. Yeah, man. How do you feel?
I feel like I did okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They haven't released your grades?
No, not yet, man.
What the fuck?
It takes like 2 weeks, man.
What the fuck?
These guys look it over again. They run it through the machine 5 times. Nah, at least I hope they are. Well, anyways, guys, that's the end of today's podcast. Unless you have something else you want to say.
I'm good, man. We're good.
Remember,
just Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. This Thursday, we're going to have the owner, hopefully, of Weird Wave Coffee in here. We're going to be talking to us about his whole perspective on this whole gentrification thing, all the protesters that are vandalizing his business and whatnot. So we're going to have him here on Thursday. Don't forget to watch that video and to watch this one. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, and turn on your post notification bell. Because a lot of people don't turn on their notifications.
Yeah,
so they don't get the notification from when the video comes.
See the video.
Yeah, they don't see the video.
You guys gotta follow TheNest on IG at TheNest.11. We post clips, we post just compilation videos, you know? Just chill, man. Follow us.
So thanks for watching and see you guys later.
Yep.